Real talk, the metaphor messiah, man. I got this one. Let's go. You ever seen the morning star? Mr. Metaphor Messiah, back to show you who we are. I represent a legacy, a pothead like the 70s, a different kind of mind. They say we only speak in melodies.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dead On Dave. And right now, the big talk seems to be the superstar shakeup. Everybody's talking about people going different places and new opportunities and who's going to be coming out of everything and who's going to be that next big star. And there's so many people that people are talking about, but who's going to be the real breakout? Who's going to benefit most from the shakeup? Well, one name continues to be used and invoked by a lot of people who hold a very high esteem in professional wrestling. And it's this lady right here, the Queen, Miss Charlotte. That's right. JR, in fact, Jim Ross, good old Jim Ross, has recently called her a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation athlete. And I find that interesting because there's a lot of people who seemingly do not like Charlotte. There's a lot of critics. There's a lot of smarks. There's a lot of people in the wrestling world who just don't seem to care much for her. They're very fast to criticize Miss Charlotte. So the question really is Charlotte the next big thing? Is she a once-in-a-generation athlete? Can she transcend a division? Yes. Yes, she can. And while I do think it is important to call out her faults, and I do think it's important and even fair at times for her critics to jump the gun a little bit, especially a year ago when she was in that storyline with her father, it's a very difficult position for her to be in because you're in there with Ric Flair, who is not just a manager, but also your father. And it's hard at times to not want to try to outdo him because of the fact he's Ric Flair. No matter what you do, you're still standing next to Ric Flair. It's impossible to get around that. So I feel at times during that storyline, she has been guilty of overacting, of trying to do too much. Another criticism for her really has been the fact that she is so quick to cry, that she's over emotional. And even with some of her stuff in ring where she sometimes does take criticism for, I think it's very important to point out how late in the game she was to getting into wrestling. You know, she's still relatively new to the business. She's an unbelievable athlete, but sometimes it takes time to get a lot of the nuances, a lot of those small details down, especially when giving a promo and checking your emotion. She's had to work some very emotional angles, not only with the people that she came up with in NXT, but her family. And that makes it extremely difficult at times to hold her emotions in check. She's getting better at it, though, as of late. And I think it's very important to point that out. She's been getting so much better at seemingly to hone it and to get it and start really pushing out way better promos. She seems more controlled, more focused, more relaxed. And guess what? That comes with time. And she's doing it very quickly, more quickly than people want to give her credit for, I think, most of the time. And she's doing it all at the same time as she's going out there and absolutely killing it in the ring. Yes, sometimes she can get a little out of control with some sloppiness, but most of the time, her ring work is very, very good. Not as crisp and not as consistent as you want to see, but again, she is just hitting that point in her life now. She's what, 30? She's hitting that point now where the sky is the limit. And a lot of people will say, well, she just got traded to SmackDown, so that's a demotion. Well, you know what? In most cases, I would say you might be right. It might be considered a demotion. Not in this case. Charlotte has been the true standout of the Raw women's division. Now, a lot of people would contest that there's been the hot potato and all of that, but it's all led to Charlotte being a 4-time Raw Women's Champion, now going to SmackDown, and the one thing most people seemed to agree upon was it was one of the biggest acquisitions either brand got during the entire Superstar shakeup. Why? Because she's a 4-time champion. Why? Because she is Ric Flair's daughter. Why? Because she could do things in the ring at her size that nobody else can do. She is, I believe, the best athlete in the WWE today. It's maybe AJ Styles. There's not a lot of other people that are athletically as gifted as Charlotte. She's a world-class athlete, Olympian level, some would argue. This woman can do just about anything. And while there are women like Naomi and Athena, also known as Ember Moon down there in NXT, who can do incredible lucha-style acrobatics, they don't do it at her size. And the fact that she's able to do that and still be able to make it believable, make it real, and kind of draw you in with her athleticism is even a bigger boon. And she's big enough and strong enough to not look outmatched and outgunned when she's in there with the bigger women in wrestling, like Nia Jax. She looks like if she hits that boot on Nia Jax, that it should do some damage. That's what sets her apart. That's what makes her unique. And now going over to SmackDown and being the anchor pin, the changing dynamic of that division is going to be huge. She gets to chase a new dream. She gets to chase a new goal. She gets to become even greater than what she was. There is a very good opportunity that Charlotte might indeed be the next big thing in professional wrestling. She's going to break through boundaries. She's going to break through borders. She's going to break through restrictions. People seem to absolutely adore her. If you like Charlotte, you love Charlotte. That's what it seems to be the case with her. She's unbelievably talented, and she has this thing when she comes out, and it's the same thing her father had. When she comes out of that back area, you can't take your eye off of her. You gotta keep focused. She is a centerpiece. She has that it. She has got that charisma, that drawing factor, where you have to know what she's doing. And that's what sets her apart. A lot of the other women in the division, a lot of other women in wrestling are background noise. Yeah, they're nice for a moment, but when Charlotte is there, based off what she might wear, based off what she might say, now it's starting to become that way, and most importantly, based off what she might do in the ring, she's a can't-miss athlete. She's a can't-miss attraction. So for all those reasons and more, there's no question in my mind that the next year of women's wrestling on SmackDown is going to be far more interesting with the inclusion of Miss Charlotte. And let me tell you, do not be surprised if there's a lot of discussion about Charlotte being Wrestler of the Year, Entertainer of the Year. For the next 5 to 6 years, this woman's got it all. And I think she can take the women's division and all of women's wrestling to that next level. I think it's certainly possible. She's going to continue to improve, and I think it's important to note that she's not there yet. She's not there yet. She's still got a little bit to travel, but her trajectory, her projection of where she's going, there's not too many people in all of wrestling, let alone women's wrestling, that can make the same claims. So that's how I feel about Charlotte. What do you think about Miss Charlotte? Is she overrated? Is she the next big thing? Or is she just something that's going to fizzle out and go away in the next couple of years? I want to hear from you guys. Hit me up in the comments section or on Twitter at DeadOnDaveV. I want to know what you guys think. And we'll talk to you later right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Thank you for joining us. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. We'll see you next time. Keep it copious. And peace.
Here's your winner,